Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in exploring SAN visibility and how it can help you and your data center in day two operation, especially during this COVID time. My name is Amber, and I'm the go-to-market BDM sales lead on MDS SAN in APJ. Together with me, we have Sing Lee, the technical marketing engineer from Data Center Networking Business Unit team that covers APJC region. As COVID persists, we continue to see many businesses continue practicing working from home to ensure safety of its employees. With consumers staying home and digital footprint with data usage are both in business and consumer space have drastically increased. From recent IDC analyst discussion, it stated that technology resiliency is number one key factor to drive business continuity. Ensure no threat, being fast and agile to the changes, and also be proactive actions on any administrative requirements. So, from global tech consulting company analysis, it has predicted that all-flash array growth in APJ is going to be about 10% year-over-year in calendar 2020 and 17% year-over-year in calendar 2021. Have you ever wondered what is the cost and time that a company needs to invest on when network problems arise? Let me share some data findings with you. So with the problem arise, that may impact the business revenue due to the downtime incident. The cost is about $250,000 hourly. With 97% of the global IT leaders surveyed stated the performance issue related to business critical applications and the average cost on such network outage is about $400,000. 73% of the IT team spend half of their time in maintaining the status code of the network. Can you imagine all this problem can be prevented, can be minimized, and can be worked on proactively? So with this, let me bring you over to Sing, who will be showing you all the issues that data center will be facing and how it can be addressed with moving towards the technology resilience. Over to you, Sing.
Thank you, Amber, for sharing the overall storage market trends, as well as the importance of the technology resiliency. For the rest of the session, let me introduce SAN Analytics and how it can help you to simplify the day-to operations. At the same time, why should you choose Cisco SAN solution? And if you are using Cisco MDS today, why should you consider refreshing to the newest platform now? Living in a modern city has a lot of excitement, but at the same time, there are challenges as well. I believe many of us has faced this kind of challenges, traffic congestion. And we all have a common solution to it, turning on our favorite GPS map applications to find the most optimized route, because it can show us the real-time visibility into the traffic pattern across the city. So similarly, SAN Analytics is the GPS system for your SAN environment by providing deep visibility into the end-to-end flow information within your SAN. During this COVID period, the public transport traffic has been reduced. However, the traffic within your SAN environment is still busy. So the level of visibility SAN Analytics can provide is beneficial to help you solve day-to operational problems. Day-to operations is essential for your business because it's directly related to the business performance and efficiency. It's also related to the cost and the user experience for both your employee and your customers. These are the common questions for day-to operations. Why is the application slow? Is it due to storage access issue? Why is the latency too high? Is it because of the server internal delay or the network congestion or the storage internal delay? Who is consuming the bandwidth? Who are the top talkers? And do they require more resources? Last but not least, who is talking to who? What is going on in my end-to-end SAN environment? In the search of answers, there are a lot of challenges along the way for today's data center environment, because many of us are using a hybrid infrastructure with mixed vendor platforms. It's usually associated with a lack of unified view across the different environment. And it's very common, a lot of us are functioning with organizational silos, such that each team is working independently. And there can be a lack of simplicity when it comes to management, configuration, and troubleshooting, as well as other day-to operations. So in order to provide answers to the day-to operations questions identified earlier, while solving these challenges along the way is the purpose of SAN analytics. SAN analytics looks into the I/O traffic for both the read and write transactions, from the server to network and to storage. It provides deep packet visibility into the fiber channel headers and the protocol-based headers such as SCSI or NVMe. It can provide a flow-based insight for ITL or ITN. If you are using SCSI, ITL stands for Initiator, Target, and LAN ID. And ITN stands for Initiator, Target, and Namespace for NVMe traffic. SAN analytics can monitor inline in real time with a built-in chipset. There is no additional hardware or cabling required for this function. It supports a vendor-neutral environment. It doesn't matter which vendor of servers you are using. It doesn't matter what type of storage you are using. We support a lot of common storage providers in the market, such as Pure Storage, Dell EMC, Hitachi Vantara, IBM, NetApp, HPE, and some other vendors. It doesn't matter whether you are using all-flash arrays or NVMe arrays or the traditional spinning disk array. It also doesn't matter if you have other network devices along the path, such as Cisco Nexus or other third-party SAN switches. As long as you have MDS at one single point of the end-to-end flow path, it is good enough for you to look into the packet header and gain the actionable insight to solve your day-to-day business issues. Now let's take a look at the architecture of SAN analytics. There are 3 steps involved. Traffic inspection is happening in the inbuilt 32GB FC port ASIC. There is no additional device required. The traffic inspection is happening for all the ports with no impact to the normal data traffic. We inspect only the header information because there are enough usable metrics inside the header that can be calculated. We don't sniff into the payload for security reasons. After that, the header information will be forwarded to an inbuilt network processing unit, NPU, which is available in our 32GB platforms, either the fabric switches or the 32GB line cards in the director class. NPU will calculate the metrics in line and accumulate those in an in-memory database on the line card or the switch itself. The third step is data analysis and visualization. The metrics calculated by NPU is sent to external receivers by streaming telemetry. You can either use Cisco DCNM as an external receiver or any other third-party platform as long as they support the Google gRPC open format. Usually those tools can provide analysis, visualization, trending, and deviation analysis based on the historical data across the time. It also provides the correlation with host and target for you to understand who is talking to who. Besides that, all this streaming telemetry is streamed out using the management port on the switch, such that there is no data impact at all.
Wow, that's great to know, Sing. That's a question that is also asked frequently. That is, does our solution have any difference from the traditional tap and the pop memory?
That's a good question, Amber. SAN analytics is not like the traditional tapping technology, which is usually traffic disruptive. It's also not doing port mirroring to replicate the port traffic into external device for analysis which usually requires a lot of additional resources. And those traditional methods of port monitoring is a passive way of troubleshooting. Usually, after a problem occurs, you start to think about where I should insert the tapping device or which ports I should mirror out for investigation. Differently, SAN Analytics is using a built-in inline chipset to do all the traffic inspection for all the ports. There is no additional requirement of the hardware or cabling, and there is no additional cost associated with those devices. What you can do is to get our 32 gig platform with the inbuilt chipset and enable analytics with just one license. Well, if you don't have the license, we actually provide a 120-day trial period for you to turn on the feature to see whether it's beneficial for your environment and your day-to-day operations. There are more than 70 metrics we can collect or calculate per every single flow. We look into the ITL information for initiator to target and LAN ID level. So for either write or read commands, these two metrics are the most essential ones that can help you to do problem analysis. One of them is exchange completion time, which stands for the total time it takes to complete one transaction. And data access latency is also important because it tells you the time required for your storage to give the first response.
So, Sing, what is the ECT and DAL value degraded? What is the business problem does it suggest?
Well, the first level of pinpointing, we can look at the ECT value. If it degrades, meaning it has a sudden increase, it's usually indicating storage access issue. After that, we can go to the second level of pinpointing by looking at the DAL value. If it also degrades, it's suggesting an internal delay within the storage array, such that you don't need to waste the time to check for the network issue or the server or the application issues. However, if the DAL value maintains the same, it means that it's not a storage array issue, so you probably should check the fabric to see whether there's any slow drain problem or looking into the host or applications. So overall, with these powerful metrics, it helps you to minimize the troubleshooting time from months to just a few hours to quickly identify the root cause. It helps you to minimize the business downtime and save TCO. This is a real-life example I want to show you how our customer is using the SAN analysis data to solve their day-to-day problem. It's a large European bank, and a few months back, they have been experiencing this unstableness of their application performance. And by capturing the SAN Insight data, it displays out for the right ECT, they are experiencing a spike followed by a dip for every 10 minutes of time. So this is a suggestion for storage access issue. And the next step they take is to look at the DAL value, which turns out to be very stable across the time. So this was a suggestion. There's no storage array delay. After that, they take a look at the read ECT and read DAL. It is very stable across the time. And that is indicating there is no network congestion, because should there be any network issue, it will impact both the read and write data. So from this, they roughly know it's probably a server issue. When the server admin hear about this behavior, something just clicked in his mind, because a few months back, they have experiencing a lot of this behavior from the Oracle applications on a lot of hosts. And they have done the patching for those servers, and maybe one server was missed out. And out from 500 servers, they quickly identified one single server that was having an unpatched Oracle application. And how could they narrow down from hundreds of servers to just one? It's because SAN Analytics helps them to capture every single flow information. And for every flow, we have the ITL data, including the initiator name and the worldwide port name, such that they can quickly identify which server is causing this highest deviation.
Wow, seeing this use case is so powerful. We have a very big FSI that has experienced downtime and critical issue, and SAN Analytics has actually helped them. That's something new in the evolution of SAN that we are hearing right now. So besides this thing, what are the use cases that we have for SAN Analytics to provide?
Well, there are actually a lot of use cases for SAN Analytics. I'm putting down here for your reference, and I'm picking out some of the top ones to share with you in detail. Now you are looking at the Data Center Network Manager SAN Insight dashboard. So SAN Insight is the visualization for the SAN Analytics data, and it provides additional analysis function to do the auto baselining as well as the deviation identification. So on our MDS Director class switches, each switch supports maximum 40,000 flows, such that you have a good sample size to do the analysis. And from this window, you are able to see the overall health performance by looking at the ECT value per every single flow. So in this environment, we have over 15,000 flows, and actually more than half of them are indicated in red color, which means more than 50% deviation. Well, it's not a good indication of the health level. You probably should troubleshoot further to understand why a lot of flows are having deviation and how can you bring up the health level of the environment. And from these dashboards, you are able to identify the top 10 hosts and top 10 storage automatically by this platform. And you can switch to different metrics to see who is the top talker. And you can change the scope based on the fabric or the switches to narrow down to the different switches for troubleshooting. And you can easily switch from SCSI traffic to NVMe traffic from here because the NVMe support for SAN Analytics is enabled today and is transparent as if it's the same as the SCSI endpoints. The next use case I want to show you is the monitoring feature of SAN Insight. So from this page, you are able to see the end-to-end topology of the active flows based on different host or storage or initiator target pairs. So from here, we can identify there are 8 multipasses from the server to access the storage. And 4 of them belongs to Fab A, while 4 of them belong to Fab B. And we can see that the read throughput for Fab B is much higher than Fab A. It's an indication that the load balancing mechanism may have some issue for you to fine-tune for the load balancing of the multiple passes. Besides that, you can also move your mouse over to the server or the storage to check what VMs or what LANs are created on these devices for the next level of troubleshooting. Besides all this, the information of the monitoring data is not only available for SCSI traffic. You can seamlessly switch over to the NVMe traffic if you already have that in your environment. The next top use case is the ECT analysis. We can provide a performance trends across the time such that you can quickly pinpoint at which period of time you are having the most flows having higher deviation level. So you know which period to start troubleshooting. And down here, we capture all the flow information. Per every single flow, you can see the initiator name, the target name, and LAN ID. And also, each one of them has a status color code. As I mentioned earlier, the red one stands for more than 50% deviation. So you exactly know which flow to look into for further troubleshooting. So overall, Cisco SAN Analytics is very simple to deploy. You can enable it by a single command on the switch, feature analytics. Or you can do that via the DCNM GUI using a wizard to guide you through the process to provision for the entire fabric. And SAN Analytics is affordable because there is no expensive traffic inspection devices, external devices with extra cabling required. And as I mentioned earlier, we do provide 120-day trial period if you haven't got the license. Besides that, it's highly scalable. It can scale with your size of your fabric from a few to thousands of ports. And every single director class switch can support up to 40,000 flows. It is open and programmable because all the metrics calculated on the switch level can be exported out to third-party tools in open format for consumption. It's highly flexible because you can deploy when you want, where you want. You can deploy on the host ports, ISL ports, or the storage ports. You can choose to turn on or disable it per port basis. So these are the business advantages we can provide using the SAN analytics to help you simplify the day-to operations. Well, the next part I really want to highlight why you should choose Cisco SAN solution. So SAN analytics with the actionable insights is one of the top reasons. Besides that, we also provide the best investment protection for next-gen storage. Investment protection should be designed in, not built on. And we have this mindset in mind ever since we launched our first generation of switches, the 9500. It was in the market for over 14 years, and we try to provide the same long lifespan for our existing chassis, the 9700. We are the first 64 gig FC-ready director after we launched the V2 component inside the same chassis in 2019. Besides that, we also have automation functionality to help you reduce operational complexity, and we provide security by using our secure boot and anti-counterfeit technology. In terms of investment protection, we used to have the 9500 director from year 2002 to year 2016 to support the speed from 1 gig up to 8 gig. And from 2013, we have launched the newest chassis, 9700. It supports 16 gig line card to 32 gig line card. And the future 64 gig line card and even 128 gig line card will be supported within the same chassis, such that when you are upgrading your speed for the endpoints, you don't need to replace the chassis and some of the internal components in order to follow the speed upgrades. And a lot of the line cards are backward compatible to support the legacy speed, such that you can mix a speed from 2 gig all the way up to 128 gig within the same chassis. So this is the Cisco idea of investment protection, to give you no forklift upgrades for the speed upgrade. And we try to provide the product support for over 10 years lifespan. Well, based on console logs from MDS Fortune 100 customers, some of them have been using our 9700 series for more than 5 years. Some of them have been using the older model 9500 for over 11 years with non-stop operations, because they can simply upgrade their line card modules or supervisor modules, or they do the software upgrades to support the newest features without replacing out the entire chassis. So this is the overall portfolio we provide today. For the fabric switches, we have 3 different types of 32 gig switch in 32 port, 48 port, and 96 port form factor. Besides that, we also have a multifunctional switch 9250i, which can provide a combination of FC, FCOE, and FCIP ports. In terms of the director class, we also provide 3 flavors, the 4-slot, 8-slot, and 16-slot models. All of them are 64 gig ready with the newest fabric modules launched last year. And the internal components, such as the line cards, is interchangeable across the different models. While SAN Analytics is supported on these 3 32 gig fabric switches, as well as the 32 gig line cards. Last but not least, Some of our customers are looking at consolidation of the maximum level of ports within one chassis in order to minimize the management points and simplify the DC design. In that case, they can go with the 9718, which can support maximum 768 ports. Well, Cisco MDS can provide anti-counterfeit technology and secure boot technology to provide a fingerprinting security for your hardware. So anti-counterfeit technology is using a built-in security chipset, which is programmed with an SUDI, which stands for a combination of serial number of the hardware and the product ID. So whenever the device is booting up, you will check this SUDI and make sure you are running Cisco genuine hardware on Cisco genuine software. Well, if you still remember, a few years back, there was a super micro security breach issue that has been impacting a lot of the big customers in the worldwide level. What happened back then was actually a security breach with hardware tampering into the server chipset. So to prevent similar problem to occur on MDS, we make sure that if there is any hardware tampering on the devices, the device will simply stop to boot. And this level of security is very essential to a lot of the customers, especially when they are from the FSI industry. Besides that, we also mentioned about automation. Well, we have this auto zone function, which is available in our 32 gig fabric switches that can help you to automate a lot of the zoning configurations. It is very beneficial if you are from a small and medium business that you want to enable all your initiators to be able to talk to all the targets without much customization. And also you want to just have a simple plug and play experience without touching the device further. Then this is a good feature for you. It may sound similar to the default zoning capability we used to have by creating automatic zones to enable the traffic to be able to talk to each other. However, there is a key difference. Default zoning would also create zones from initiator to initiator, from target to target. However, in the SAN environment, those traffic is not useful because a lot of the SAN traffic is north-south based. So with AutoZone, we only create those necessary zones between every single initiator and every single target. In that case, we can optimize the switch TCAM utilization by eliminating the unnecessary zones between I to I and T to T. For further details and some customization options, please refer to this YouTube link.
Wow, that's a lot of information about Cisco MDS and what SAN Analytics can do with all the automation details. I was quite surprised to see that there is a lot. 11 years, customers are still using our first Gen 1 MDS 95,000. That's really nice to know that our hardware can last for so long. But tell me more about it, Sing. Many customers have been using 95,000 with 16 gig fabric switches for a few years. Is there any reason why they should refresh it now to the newest platform?
Well, I will give you a big yes to that question. There are multiple reasons customers should consider refresh now if they are using our older platform. About investment protection, our newest 9700 can support 64 gig line rate switching capability from last year, whereby the older 9500 can support up to maximum 8 gig line rate, and it's already end of sale. Looking into the future, 9700 should be your top choice. It has been in the market from 2013, and it's supporting the speed mix of 2 gig all the way up to 32 gig line rate. And switching capability-wise, we can support 64 gig today. In the future, when 128 gig is available, it will be also supported within the same chassis. So besides that, if you're looking at the fabric switches, the previous 16 gig models we have as compared to the newer 32 gig, well, I can tell you the newer 32 gig fabric switches are more price competitive as compared to our competitor if you compare apple to apple. So overall, we are the industry's first 64 gig ready director, which is built for the demanding storage environment. And recently, I have been talking to a few FSI customers from the ANZ region. They have been using 9500 for many years, and they are choosing 9700 for the benefit of SAN analytics because it's only there on our 32 gig line card. It's not there for the previous generation line cards. And at the same time, they do have some storage or server refresh requirements. Besides that, I also have another customer who is testing out the SAN analytics feature using the travel license. So that is the second reason you should consider refreshing to the newer platform, because SAN analytics, this powerful feature, is supported on the newer generation 32 gig fabric switches and 32 gig line cards within the 9700 directive. And besides that, we are the industry's first analytics platform that can support both SCSI and NVMe traffic. I believe a lot of you are considering to move to NVMe platform in the near future. Then the analytics function is already there whenever you turn on the new endpoints that is NVMe capable. Last but not least, AutoZone is supported on our 32 gig fabric switches only. So this bundle includes 2 of the 9132T switch, including the DCNM advanced license and the SAN analytics license as well. So this bundle is very good for POV testing, as well as some certification requirements, especially from the FSI industry. It's very easy to deploy. You can turn it on and enjoy the plug and play sort of experience, especially when you are turning on the AutoZone function. So in summary, MDS and Cisco SAN architecture is built to last. We provide design-in investment protection. We provide a 64 gig capable director today to suit your future needs of speed upgrades. We provide full inline analytics to give you the deep visibility into your end-to-end flows, such that it can help you to simplify day-to-day operations, to identify the root cause to any issues, and also to reduce the business downtime. We can also provide some automation functionality to simplify your operations with AutoZone. With that, let me pass it back to Amber to talk about the next step for you.
Thank you, Sing. Thank you for all the information and also the insightful details of how SAN solution and its features can help to bring better data center into the organization and the company. So as you can see, SAN is no longer just a hardware itself. We share today the evolutions of SAN and how Cisco SAN solutions such as the SAN analytics and the automation can improve the organization traditional practice to foster stronger technology resiliency. So with Cisco MDS and your data center together, we can bring many benefits to give you a simple, where our MDS 32 gig technology hardware has already incorporated great features. A smarter, which SAN analytic is already part of the hardware on 32 gig platform. What you need is just to turn on the license. And faster, we are already on 64 gig ready. So there you go, investment protection for your future. So all these great technology values in Cisco brings is to help you, our customers, to drive better day-to-day operations and also to improve in your return of investment. So we do not have enough time to show you some live demos, but here are the 2 important links. One on SAN Analytics with a 20-minute demo to showcase what is the key features you can see on DCNM dashboard. The other one is on the Cisco automation, which is the AutoZone. And also, finally, do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any queries, migration discussion, or a session with the sales team. Reach out to myself, Amber, and Sing. We will be happy to help. With that, we will close our session for today, and thank you for joining. Have a great day.